Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the next film. I am your host, Jessica Michael Davis. We are doing another solo episode today, and this is our 16th episode. So thank you so much for tuning in thus far. It's been 4 months, and I've enjoyed all of it. So if you've been tuning along this whole time, thank you. If you are new here, welcome. If you've listened to our past solo episodes, I've covered how I've gotten funding, some emails I've sent, how to reframe funding, and some mistakes that I've already made making my second feature film. Today, we are going to be diving a little more into story time, but it is going to be something that none of us can avoid when we make a feature film, and that is rejection. And it is a little too relevant for me, I hate to say, but I'm kind of coming out the other side. So I'm going to go into a story that I experienced just this past week with my next film. But I'm also going to bring up some past stories of how rejection turned into redirection and add a little motivation and context to it all. We will start with our casting process. Has been going lovely. Our casting director is absolutely incredible. I love working with her, and it's really exciting to have a lot of options. And we started to look at some more people outside of our preliminary list, and someone that came up, I didn't really know if they would be a right fit, just given the character that they're currently known for. I was like, let's go ahead though, because he was super talented in this film he's in, and the film is doing very well. And we received an audition tape. I didn't even know it was coming in, which was so cool because, to be honest, I thought this would be someone that is like an offer only situation, maybe even like a meeting only. And so to get an audition tape from this person was so exciting. The best part about it though was that he knocked it out of the park. He killed it. And I honestly couldn't see how it would get better than this. And so we immediately went to make him an offer. You also think when someone auditions for your film, it's just like a done deal once you want them. Granted, I knew that there was still discussions of money and things, but I didn't think too much about it. I was just so excited. It just felt like a complete game changer for the film. Long story short, we speak to his manager, and his manager is like, we are so excited and humbled. We love the script. We love Jessica's voice. We just are afraid that this is too close to the role that he just did. And, we shared our thoughts, and we opened to if you want to take a meeting with us, we are collaborative. We're happy to, talk about the script. They were going to take some time to really think about it. And it was about a week ago, they came back that it just didn't feel like the right next step in his career. And I totally get it. And it makes sense, especially now with a little more hindsight. But I was utterly heartbroken. I am just sharing with you the details because I think that it's sometimes things we don't talk about, especially me. I really enjoy to talk about all the exciting wins of filmmaking. I am very optimistic. No one can tell me nothing when I'm making a film. But even with that, there's always still going to be rejection and heartaches and challenges and obstacles. And I always know that going in. And I never try to protect myself, and I don't think you should either. I think you should always put all of your heart into your work because it does show up on screen and in your collaborations with people. But when you do that, you are going to experience loss and heartache. And it might sound dramatic. I am an actor after all. But we are artists, and we're supposed to be putting all of our emotions into our work, right? And I'm not going to lie, I sobbed and cried a lot that night when we heard back. And usually, again, when I experience obstacles and heartache, there's always a little voice in my head that, says, well, something better is in store, or that means something is right around the corner, or there's just a bigger vision that I can't see yet. And this was the first time that I couldn't hear that little voice. And it was really upsetting. And I think I put a lot of pressure, and I definitely put this up on a pedestal, getting this person, but it was just crazy because it was someone who was not on my radar whatsoever. And then after seeing their audition, it was just like so mind-blowingly good. Like, this dude is incredibly talented, and I can't wait to give him his flowers one day when I'm actually allowed to talk about this. And so knowing how good it was, and also how much not only he could bring to the role and to this film, but also, you know, the wave that he's on right now, like it all felt really aligned and exciting. And I didn't understand, or I couldn't comprehend in that moment how something could feel so right and yet not work out. And again, I'm only sharing all of this with you in case this resonates. Knowing the journey of making a film, you're going to experience something similar. The conclusion that I came to is we really only have two options when we run into things like this. And that is to either forge on or give up. And there is no doubt in my mind, giving up is not an option for me. If I ever tried to envision this film not happening, I couldn't picture it. And so I forge on. And it was a little bit of a bumpy start those first couple days, but eventually I came around. While, you know, I'm still a little bruised, I definitely am starting to see that it's happening for a reason. I mean, on one note is, I can't obviously tell you too much without telling you everything about the film or the story, but I do think that him playing that character would be a little too on the nose maybe, or like give it away too easily, if that makes sense without any context. And the fact that he sent us a tape and put so much energy and effort to it and was just so kind to him, and his team were very kind. All of that is a win for someone at his caliber to be auditioning for my film after paying good money to see him on the big screen. Like, that's incredible. That is a huge win that I was not, you know, seeing, or that I was taking for granted. And so we are definitely celebrating that. You know, hopefully in a few months or even less than that, I will be able to tell you how excited I am about the person we did find and how much more right they are for the role. So with that, I would love to share a few examples. So one story where something worked out way better than I could have imagined was with my first feature, Escaping Ohio. And if, in case you don't know it, it follows my character, Sam. And a character that I really took inspiration from when creating this character was Pink in Dazed and Confused. Like, I literally watched that movie like every day, in like pre-production, writing the script, things like that. And he was just a huge inspiration. Linklater in general was also a huge inspiration. And when we got into production, we got this opportunity. Emily Burgle, who played my mom and it was a producer on the film, had worked with Jason London and was like, I think you should have Jason play your dad and I can get him. And I was like, what? Like, it blew my mind, because I'm like, how is it that the literal character that I based my character off of about to play my dad? So I couldn't believe it, because that was like, how insane is that? Long story short, we cast him, all these things, and it fell through. Again, this is one of those times where it's like, can it get any better than that? Like, that was literally the actor who played the character that I took all this inspiration from to create my character. Like, how does it get better than that? I will tell you how it got better than that. A couple of months later, we were connected to Adam Pascal, who ended up playing my dad. And to bring it full circle, just with that story, is it's another Linklater movie. Not that that was a requirement, but School of Rock was also like the film that got me into filmmaking in the first place. So that was insane, and really, truly full circle. But also, Adam Pascal was just such a better fit for the role. He just brought this different energy and passion and like cool dadness to it Jason definitely would have brought a lot of depth and like good things to it, but like Adam just had this whole different energy that just felt so much more right. And once we got an opportunity to work with Jason London, we had wrote more scenes for the dad. So he had meatier scenes, more on-screen time, because the dad wasn't originally that big of, like, he barely had any scenes in the movie. And then we kind of like overwrote the role once we got him attached. But then once Adam was attached, he was so sweet to come on his like off days when he was doing Pretty Woman. He was touring the country for the Pretty Woman musical. He was in Cleveland So again, perfect timing that all worked out. Because though we only had him for like a day and a half, we had to make the scenes a lot shorter and essentially like condense them and say as little as possible, but still have all that backstory and meatiness that we put into that role. But it was so much better for the movie and the script to have done that. So not only was he a better fit and energy for the character, it actually forced us to change some of the script that made the movie so much better. That was one example that truly just like I could not have seen, and that I could have easily dwelled on, of like, how does it get better than this? Almost like I just was dwelling on with this other character. And it did get better than that. And it was perfect. And I loved Adam playing my dad so much. And so some other times that this has happened is 2019, I graduated from school and I was already ready to make my first feature. One of my favorite authors is Mindy McGinnis, who, if you recognize that name, she co-wrote this script with me of my next film, Candid. But at that time, I had no idea, like she didn't know me, but I loved her novels. And there was this one specific novel of hers called The Female of the Species. And I was obsessed. I loved it. I just saw it as a movie and I wanted to make it. And I have the audacity sometimes. I literally had not enough credits under my belt, but whatever. I had the audacity to reach out to her and ask her if I could adapt it. And it wasn't necessary. I mean, it was a no, but it was more so like someone else had the option already, had the rights to it. So there was no rights to give me, but it was essentially no. And it was rejection. And I was like, damn. I mean, like I even remember I literally like wrote most of the screenplay already. And I had like a whole phone call with the producer of Taxi Driver, Michael Phillips, who gave me, some advice on just making my first feature, adapting and getting rights and all those things. And so I did all of this before I reached out to her. And then it was a no. And I remember that rejection sucked because I know that I could make it good. And it was a role that I really, really wanted to play myself. And it was a high school role. And, there was only so many years that I had left to play that type in that age. And I didn't know how it was going to turn out. And so it cut to today where we are now making a film together. I had made the short film version first and she loved it so much. And then, I already told the story on episode 4 of how she wanted to come on board and we got to make this film together. And it was so awesome. Like she was just one of the best collaborators. We have such good chemistry. She's just an incredible writer, an incredible collaborator. And the script only is as good as it is because like I couldn't have done it without her. And what is so cool though, not only getting to work with her and make a film with her, after all this, is we actually put that same title, The Female of the Species, into this film. And it was her idea. Like I didn't even like bring it up whatsoever. And the character in our film is so much like the main character that I really wanted to play that was in that book. But actually even better because there is a little more like colors and layers and it's coming more from me since I got to help write this instead of just straight adapting this book. It's now a story that we got to write together and that I got to put my own voice into and a character that I got to put myself into. So to essentially like go from 2019 having no idea where this is going to go and, being bummed out that I don't get to make this book into a movie to now where it's like, this is an even better scenario that I could have never, ever seen or predicted, where me and her are creating the movie together. I get to still act the lead role. We still get to put that same line that I loved from the book about the female of the species is more deadly than the male. And it still has all the same themes and just characters and like all these things that I loved about the book are in this movie that we're making together. And it's just, again, like I could have never predicted that happening. And that rejection, I didn't let it get to me. I didn't let that stop me from reaching out to her again when I wanted to make her short film. And now, us making this together. And it was just one of those like rejection turns into redirection. And yeah, it took like 6 or 7 years to see that pay off, but it did. Okay, one more story for you, although I'm pretty sure I could go on. I have tons of stories like this because honestly, we experience so much rejection in this industry. It is just part of the job as both filmmakers and actors, or whatever venture you're in. And it doesn't really stop hurting. Actually, this time around, it hurt even more. But I do believe that it is always redirection. And I wouldn't have said that a week ago because I was sick of, I think, there was only a couple people I could tell or like talk to this about. And, they say the same thing that I'm telling you now. It just means something better is in store, or there's a different thing that's going to happen. And I just didn't want to hear it. And sometimes you just don't want to hear it. And if that's true, like, turn this off, feel those feelings, because you can't suppress them. It's not going to be good. You're going to get resentful. You need to feel the feelings, let them pass through. But I do think you will come out of the other side and see maybe the how or the reasoning, or just know and trust that it will work out for the best. And I'm there now, kind of. I'm getting there. But I'm also just like, all of this and sharing this with you is helping remind me even that that is true. And so this last story that I'm going to share is just when I was making the short film Betty Bites Back, the short film that inspired this next feature of mine, it was actually a short film, or a short story that I had read by Mindy and had set aside because I remember when I read it, I was like, I see this in my head and I want to make it. I mean, I love Mindy's work. And this opportunity came across that this person wanted to produce a short film that they could act in. And so I pitched him the short film and then one other idea, and he liked the short story version. And I was so excited because I really wanted to make it too. And I was just like seeing that vision, and I was getting really excited about it. And, I was starting to go on this journey with this person, and it was just not going very well. And it came to the point where, and if you know the short story, or just the premise of it, it is very bold, and, like pretty feminist. And this person was afraid of that. He did not want it to be bold. He really wanted to like water it down and make it safe. And that is not who I am at all. And yeah, we had a creative conversation about it because I'm not someone that argues, but I was very firm on this is how I'm going to make this film. And then he gave me the option that we were going to film both versions, the version that he wanted, which was the watered down, safer version, and then my version. Because it was really just like the ending that changed things. And to be honest, I should have said no still in that moment. Because I do believe like he had final say on how the cut that would have went out into the world would have been, since he was paying for it all. But sometimes you don't want to see the truth right away. And, us filmmakers, when someone's like, yeah, I'm going to pay for you to make work, like it's really hard to say no to that. So I was like, okay, at least I still get my version. And, the universe was looking out for me. And I think it was not much longer that it fell through. He wanted me to sign some really weird paperwork. He was like, well, if we don't sign this, then we're not making it. And I'm like, then we're not making it. And so it sucks though, because, you get really excited about a project. Someone's also going to pay to make it. But again, it was for the best. But, when you end things and you sometimes don't know the how, and it sucks, but it was only like 2 months later that a friend of mine was like, what happened to that short story you were making? I told him about it and whatnot, and he was like, well, have you cast someone in that role? Long story short, he wants to play that role. He pays now and produces the short film, and now he's come on to help make the feature and whatnot, and is also just like one of my favorite collaborators. But it was just like an opportunity or path that I did not see at that time. And then I got to make the film how I wanted to make it. I got to make it with my favorite people, which was the best. I got to bring all my friends who made Escaping Ohio with me. I was so happy with the whole process. My producer was so happy with the whole process, and we all got, the benefits of that. It went on to premiere at CineQuest and win awards, and obviously is now being turned into a feature. So again, one of those examples of sometimes a no or an obstacle turns out for the best. And so I hope you find some inspiration or motivation in any of these stories. And also just know that you're not alone. Filmmaking is a crazy journey, and it's so fun and so worth it. You really do have to be so passionate and strong in your vision to get through all this, because you are going to be facing a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenges, and a lot of rejection. And if you aren't so sure about the film that you're making and why you're making it and why you're the one to make it and all of that, it's going to be tough to keep going. And so really make sure that this is what you want to be doing, that this is the film that you want to be making. And if, you're strong in all of that and know all of that, you're going to be great. And so I am wishing you all the best of luck with your film journeys. I hope to soon be able to tell you that this current or recent rejection ended up for the best.